towards the end of this course. So you can start your preparation, okay, for the final exam. So good evening, one and all. In today's session, we will see the one remaining storage class that we can use in C programming language. So the one that we have seen till now, we'll just revise them quickly. So we have seen the auto storage class, which is by default used in your program. It is nothing but your local variable. Okay, within a function, if you use it, it is local to that function. It will be allocated memory on the stack. It is stored in the memory, and its scope is for that particular function. Then register storage class, so that we can quickly access the frequently needed variables, or frequently needed data can be accessed faster, such as your counter variables that you use in your loop. Then we have seen the static variables, right? Static local and static global. Now what we have to see is the remaining one, that is extern storage class. Extern is nothing but also called as external or global. Okay. So whatever global variable we have seen till now, that is the same thing. Okay. But there are certain changes that we have to see for this particular storage class, where it will be declared or used outside the functions, right? Global variables are always outside all the functions, or you can say above your program. Then where it will be stored in memory, whatever memory is allocated to your program, stack memory, in that area it will be stored. If you do not initialize, by default, it will get initialized to 0. Now, the entire file and other files where this variable, where the variable is declared as extern, means you can declare it in one program file or in other program files. Okay, we will see what is a program file and what is its lifetime, or how long you can access it throughout your program. Okay, not necessary that if you call a function and then it will be executed, then you'll come back to your main program. It is not like that. Throughout your program, you can access these global variables, as we already know. Now, let us see the program directly, so that you can understand the concept well. So let us quickly revise how we can create a project in our Dev C++ IDE. Project is nothing but a collection or combination of one or more program files. So click on File, New, Project. Okay, you have to create a new project. Then select the second option, Console Application, and select the language as C project, so that C program files will be there in your C project. And you can name your project like whatever name, suitable name. I'm giving the name as storage class. Okay, you can name it anything and click on OK. So it will ask you where you want to save this project. So you can select your appropriate folder or file. Okay, and the extension will be .dev, because you're using Dev C++ ID. The extension of the project is .dev. Okay, by default, this code will appear. Whatever you don't want, you can remove it. Okay. And these are command line arguments, which we don't need at the moment. Okay, similarly, now you have to save the file of the program. You have saved the project with the name, but now you have to save the files in that project. So this is the first file. So let me save it. I can save it as, suppose, first. Let me save the file name with first file. Okay, you can call it anything, and I'll save it. Now you can click on Ctrl+N, or directly go to File, New, and Source file. Then it will ask you, add it to the current project. Yes. And then you want to write something in this file also. Okay, so just let me write something. Okay? And I'll just comment this out. Okay, means this will not be recognized by the compiler. And let me save this as second file with the extension C, and save it. Okay, so I have two files in my project now. Now what I want to do, Here I'm going to create a simple global variable, int a equal to 5. Okay, and I want to print the value of a. And from where I'm going to print, I'm going to print from my first file. So let me write here first file. A is equal to %d comma a. So here I will be able to print the value of a. Now in my main, there is no a variable, there is no local a variable. So it will access the one which is outside, that is the global a will be considered. Okay, suppose here I have int a equal to 12. Then how it is executed within your main, first it will search whether a variable is there or not. Here you want to print the value of a, right? So within my main, it will first search if a variable is there or not. In this case, it is there. So it will print the value of a as 12. That is, this a at line number 5 will be considered. But suppose I do not have a local a variable, then it will go outside the main. That means over here. Okay, it will search this global a, and the global a value, that is 5, will get printed within my main. Right? We know this working. So now let me run this program. So as you can see, it is printing. First file, value of a is 5. Okay, means I have not used anything from my second file. Now suppose I want to use something from my second file. So here also I can have a variable with the same name. Okay, let us see what happens. Here I have written int a equal to 15. Okay, now when I run my program, it will give me an error because here also I'm using a variable and here also I'm using a variable, means duplicate a is existing. Okay, so how to tackle such problems? One is, and since this is a project, the files are linked to each other. So you don't have to include them as a header file in your first program. You have to simply you can simply access the data from another file in your first file, or the data from first file can be accessed in another file. So here what I will do, I will write here, I want to use the a which is in my second file. Okay, this a I want to use, which is in my second file. So here the syntax to do this is, firstly, I will comment this out, this int. Okay, now let us see how it runs. Okay, still it is giving me an error because this a is not accessible over here. So this way to make it accessible is write extern, okay, extern int a. Okay, this is the syntax for using extern variables. This is an extern variable. When you write extern int a, what will happen is, here in my main I don't have a. So what I'll do normally, I'll go outside my main. So I'm getting something related to a here. What I'm telling, that search for a in another file. What this line will say, line number 2 will tell the compiler that search for the variable a in some other file. Okay, so how it will search in another file? From the line number 2, the control will jump to the other file, which is my other file, second file. Here I have a equal to 15. So now the value 15 can get printed. Okay, so let me run it. As you can see, a is equal to 15 is getting accessed and printed. So this is how you can access the variables from another file using the extern. Okay, we'll modify this program and see how it helps us and all. Now suppose I remove the value of a from here. Now I have only declared a. So what will be the expected value of a? Means what can you say about the value of a? What value it will have? Any idea?
0.
No?
Garbage.
Yes, garbage. Because see, this here it is not a global A. Why? Because I don't have any stdio.h. This header file I've not included. I don't have any main function, nothing. I've just written int A. Okay, so it is not a global variable. It is not a static variable, nothing. It is just int A. And this variable I can access in my first program file. So it is garbage value. And when I print, see, now it is printing 0. Next time it can print something else. Okay, you can test this out. Now, another change that we can make is, suppose I have a int a over here also. Okay, I have int a equal to 12. and then I'm writing extern int a, and then here also printf, and here also in my second file I have int a. So I have to print the value of a, means here I don't have a in my main, I will go outside. Okay, first let me run this program and show you. So it is accessing 12 as the value. This is because it will search for the value of a in its own program first, means it will go outside the main. If I have a, well and good, I can access the value of a. But if the value of a is not here, then I will search in the other files. Okay, this is the meaning of extern int a. Okay, and yeah, this is the meaning of extern int a. You can search in other files if you don't find it in your own file. Okay, and when I run it, it will give. And one correction, Shivani Sharma, you had told me it is 0, right? Your answer is correct. Okay, it is 0 only. It is not default value. It is not garbage value. Okay, it is treated as a global name. Okay, sorry, one mistake. The correction is it is global only. Okay, you are correct. Very good. It is 0. It is treated as global. That was some other concept I was thinking about. So by default, the value will be 0. It acts as a global variable, and it will print 0 if it is not initialized. Okay, automatically if you try to print, it will print it as 0. But now in my own file I have a, so I'll print my a which is in the same file. If it is not in this file, I will search in other files. Okay, so I'll print the value of a. Now this extern int a, if I don't write here, and suppose I write it over here inside my main, okay, it has the same effect. What will happen? I will search within my own self. Within the main, I will search the value of a. Have I got a within the main? No. So it will go outside main. It will find a is equal to 12. Okay, and it will print whenever I try to print. But suppose this a equal to 12 is not there in the same file. I will search in other files. So by default, I have not initialized in my second file. So it is printing 0. Suppose I initialize the a in my second file as 19. And now if I run it, it will print 19. Okay, so if I do not have it in my main, I will search outside the main. If I do not have it in my whole program, I will search in some other program file. Okay, so either write extern int a over here, or you can write it over here. Okay, whatever you want. Now another thing is that you need to know what is the difference between extern variable and your normal int a local variable or global variable. So let me show you one difference over here. See, extern modifier, storage class, whenever you use it, the difference is that suppose I'm writing int var. This is a simple variable, right? You can write within your main, you can write int var, or maybe int var is a global variable. What happens at that time? You're declaring the var variable. Var gets declared in your program. You have not initialized. Okay? If it is a local variable. If it is global, by default, it will become initialized to 0. So basically, this is what you are doing is declaration. And at the same time, what will happen? Memory will get allocated to this var variable. Means this var will occupy some space in memory and it can be used in your program, but it is not initialized. What about extern type of declaration? Extern int var, what happens? It is only declaration. Means you're going to tell your compiler of the program that I'm going to use var variable, but currently do not allocate any memory to it. Okay, extern, that is short form for external, it will tell you that I'm going to use the variable var, so I'm declaring it, but compiler, please do not allocate any memory to it. Okay, and why this is done, we will see now. So here what is happening, I'm only declaring, I have not allocated memory to a. Okay, now again if I write extern int a second time, again I write extern int a third time, will this give error? No, it will not give an error. It will run successfully and it will access definitely the value of a in the different file because it is not there in my own file. Why this is so? Because here when you write, suppose you write int a 3 times. Okay, I'm writing int a 3 times. Now int a is what? You're telling the compiler I'm going to use a variable, I have declared it, and you allocate memory to it. So again and again to the same variable a, if the name of the variable is same and you're again and again using it, it will run. Okay, in this case. But uh, because it's a project, like, okay, and I have not, means the memory is getting, um, okay, I'll just open one more file, add a new file to current project. No. Okay, and I'll just copy this code in my new file. Okay, this is not a part of my project now, this new file, and I want to print the value of a. Okay, now let me run it. See here, why is it running this one? It's accessing my first file and it has got added to the okay, I'll just show you on online compile. Okay, just a minute. Sometimes it happens like this, some other program gets run by mistake. So see, A is global variable. Okay. So what will happen by default equal to 0? It is allowing you to have int A. Okay, but in my main int B, again I have int B. Here also it should, yeah. So here what is happening, if it is local, what it is doing, it is not allowing me to have multiple of the same name. Okay. But in your global, it will allow you. Similarly, in your project, what I have done, I have allocated the memory to a variable, again to a variable, again to a variable. But when I do extern int A, whenever there's extern, I only told that I'm going to use my variable A. So I can tell the compiler multiple times, I want to use the variable A. It's okay. It will not consider it as an error. Okay. And it, here I don't have A actually. So I'll search in my second file and it will print. Okay. So we understand that there are certain key takeaways from this execution, that the syntax will be some data type int, then the variable name, and then you must write the extern keyword before it. It becomes an extern storage class variable. So that you can say that only the variable property is announced, that it is an integer variable and I want to use it. Multiple declarations, multiple times if you write extern int var, it is allowed. Then it says to the compiler that go outside from my scope, and wherever you find the definition of the variable, access that variable. Right? That is what we have been doing. If I don't find it in main, I will go outside. If I don't find it in the program, I'll search in some other program file. So it, compiler behaves like external variable. Whatever it says is true. That means yes, I will find it in some other file. Okay. It may be a case that you do not have A over here, but still you're saying extern and telling that go and search in other files. Okay, so compiler will consider that there is a case where I have an A in some other file, that it will consider. But if you do not have A in another file, it will give you a linker error. Means you have written extern int A, but throughout your project you have not found any variable A. Then it will be a linker type of error, right? Linker will link all the files that are generated at the compiling time. Okay, that have told you already. Now when an external variable is initialized, then memory for this variable is allocated and it will be considered as defined. So let us try one more thing. If I write extern int A equal to 13, or let me say 20. Okay, now when I run my program, it will give you an error because, okay, let me close these files. Okay, still it will give you an error because extern is only meant for declaration. You cannot initialize an extern variable. Extern int A will only tell that go and search for A outside me. Okay, it is not that you can assign the value of A over here. It will give you an error. And have you understood this much for variables, how it works? Extern variable.
Yes.
I have
Yes.
Yes.
One doubt. Yes, ask me.
I have two doubts. The first one
Okay,
is
two doubts.
okay.
Ah,
If extern int A tells the compiler to go to some other file, and we have
Yes.
two more files other than main. We have two more files. One file has int a, other file has float a. Okay,
Okay.
so which file will it search first? Like
See here it
it
is
will
what
search.
extern int a. So it will search for int a only. It will not search for float a. Okay.
Okay.
And suppose you have
Okay.
int a in more than one file. Then let us run and see what happens. So I'll add another program file to the same project. And here also I'll write int, just a minute. Yeah, here also I'm writing int a equal to 100. Now I need to save this file first. So save. Suppose third file and save. Okay. So now I've created another file with a variable for int, and I'm going to print the value of here a. So let me run it. Just a minute. Yeah, so it's giving you an error. Okay, means a should be unique in another file. You cannot have multiple a's in multiple files. Okay, so if you have float to a, it will search for int only. But if you have int a multiple times in multiple files, you will get an error. Just like if how you have int b many times in main, it will give you an error similarly. Okay, is it fine?
Yes, got it.
Yeah. Now for functions, how you can do it means for variables, you can have a variable which is initialized in some other file, right? In my second file, I had initialized a variable. So I can have a function definition as well in another file and call it from my first file. So what I'll do in my second file, let me define a function, simple function, void fun, and I'll print, let me print from second file. Okay, extern is nothing but it will help you to access outside your file if you don't find it within yourself. So I have defined a function here in my second file, and I want to call it from my first file. Okay, I'll call it from my first file, fun function I am calling. You can pass parameters and all if you want, but for now we are dealing with a simple thing. So just like how you did here extern int a, for functions what you have to do, you have to declare it by writing extern, return type of the function was void, and name of the function fun, and give a semicolon. Right, this is just like your declaration. If you don't write extern, this is your, if you don't write extern, this is nothing but your declaration of a function. Just add the keyword extern, it becomes an extern declaration, and this will help you to access the definition part in some other file. So let us run this and see. So I'm able to print from second file, and this a equal to 100 is from my third file. Okay, so it is accessing first. How it will execute, first the main printf is there, I have to print the value of a, so it will search outside main, I didn't get a, so it will search in the other files, I found a in third file. Then what I have to execute, function call, I don't have this function definition in my own file, I will go to some other file, in my second file I found it, so I'll print from my second file, right? So what is the similarity between variables and function extern? See, in variables what you're doing, extern, type of the variable, data type, and variable name. Similarly for functions, return type of the function and function name, right? If this is data type of the variable, this is return type of the function. Name of the variable, name of the function, and parenthesis to identify that it is a function, right? So we have seen how to use extern variables and extern functions. Is there any doubt, or have you understood this? Have you understood?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So we are done with storage classes. Which are those four storage classes we have seen? We have seen local, which is by default it is auto only. If you don't specify auto, it is okay, it will be considered as auto. Local and auto is same. Then register is a type of auto, but only where we store the data is different, it is in the CPU register. Then extern is nothing but your global, it will help you to reach out to your other files. And then static is the normal static that we have seen all these days. Okay, local static and global static. So This is it for storage classes.